cloud. All right, one more person has just joined us. We'll wait for this person to come in. MS. It could be anything. Don't know what MS is, so we'll wait for this person to connect to audio, and we'll ask their name and where they're coming in from. Welcome, MS. What does MS stand for? If you can hear me.
Yes. Hi. This is
Hi.
Manali.
Manal. Okay, Manal. Thank you. Thank you for joining.
Thank you for setting this up.
Sure, no problem. Where are you dialing in from?
I'm dialing in from Virginia.
Oh, okay. You're in my home state. So I'm in Alexandria, Virginia, just outside of DC.
Excellent.
Awesome. Awesome. So let's get started. So our presentation today is really all about the product owner and the role of the product owner, how they inspire their team, how they lead their team, how they motivate their team to deliver the most value that they can, right? As part of the team structure. So I like to think of the product owner as someone that, an ideal product owner is someone that imbues or inspires this product mindset for their team, so that the team starts thinking like a product owner, thinking about the customers, thinking about the value that they're delivering for their customers. So this presentation is a interactive one. So you get to interact with the content here as we're going through it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in the Zoom chat a link. If you would click on that, you will be able to follow along and answer questions as they come up in the presentation deck. So once you get onto Mentimeter, if you can give me a thumbs up or show me some love. There we go. We got a few people in already. Awesome. All right, we got 2 of you in here so far. We're looking for a few more. Now, you can also just go to menti.com if you want to use your phone and put in that code manually, or copy or just use that link that I shared with you in the chat message. So I'll give you another 30 seconds to join me. Great, we got another person. I got some love, yay! That's always good. Okay, we got 4 of you in there. I'm looking for 2 more. I feel like I'm running a what's it? An auctioneer. Let's get 2 more in there. Come on, get your auction bids in. There we go. I got a thumbs down. I guess you didn't like my joke. That's okay. All right, let's get moving. Got another thumbs down. Okay, I didn't like my joke. I'm going to stop joking. I'm sorry, guys. My wife tells me all the time that I need to stop with the jokes because I'm not that funny. So we created this thing that we call the product journey loop, and we feel like product owners, product managers, forget the title. It's really about the mindset. It lives throughout this loop. The way we like to see it, or the way we see it, is that you've got sort of the left side of the loop where you're kind of exploring, you're thinking about what products or services are going to make an impact, not only from a customer standpoint, but from a business standpoint, right? And so as you're kind of exploring the ideas, a product owner should be really thinking about why they're doing it in the first place. And if they can answer that question, who are they doing it for? Who are their customers, their target market, if you will? Really get in touch with their customers as much as they can to walk in their shoes, if you will, and understand what the customer's perspectives are. And once they have these 2 questions answered, at least initially, then they can start thinking about the outcomes. What are the outcomes they're trying to achieve, not only for the business, but also for the customers, right? What is it? What's in it for them? if they have a product or service that they're trying to promote, what's in it for them and what will provide an impact to the customer. All right, and then we get to the sort of the options. This is where a product owner and a product team would be thinking about, all right, what are all the ways we can execute on our mission, our vision, the why, the who, the outcomes, the different ways that we might experiment and learn about what the customer wants and needs. And Jolly, thanks, you joined me just in time. The other day, Jolly's one of our partners at Agile Meridian. And the other day, he sort of was conceptualizing these two sides of this infinity loop. He did it in a really nice way, and I'm wondering if I can put you on the spot to share what you said to us. Maybe he's not joined us fully yet, but if the left side of the loop is really about exploration and defining the mission and the vision, then the right side, there we are. The right side, I'm going to try to do it justice, Jolly. You said it so well. The right side is more about shortening the loop, right? Shortening the feedback cycle by which you get information back from your customer, right? And so I'm going to turn it to you. I think you said it better. I don't want to butcher it.
No. I mean, I think you articulated that really well, Kumar. I think, as you said, the challenge for the product owners, or even at the higher level, like for the organization, is constantly figuring out what is the best thing to do, what is the highest priority thing to do, and the techniques that they use can be different. In this product journey loop, we kind of articulate that impact mapping is a great technique for that, right? Because it looks at the outcomes for our customers, for our clients, for our users, and it looks at the impact to the business. Are we making money? Are we losing money? Is it a loss leader? And that is fine. Some products make a loss, but you make it up somewhere else. So what is the business impact? These two components, the outcome and the impact, the customer outcome and the business impact, is what determines what is the most important thing for you to do next. What is the next big thing, right? And that is value. We always go around saying value, 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 but that is what value really is. It is a mix of outcome and impact. And that is the left side challenge. What is the next big thing? And as Kumar just said, the right side challenge, the realized challenge, is how do we get the quickest feedback on the next big thing that we just figured out on the left side, on the explore side, right? And many of the ideas that we are all familiar with that, how do we get the quickest feedback, is about doing the smallest thing and getting the quickest feedback. So how do we shift left? How do we shift left on testing? How do we shift left on NFRs, your performance and your scalabilities and your security? How do you shift left on all of those things, right? How do you deploy to production as early as possible? Would you use blue-green environments so that you can test out things really fast to make sure that you get that fastest feedback? Those are the two big challenges, as far as I can see.
Yeah.
I hope that helped.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I would say even beyond that, it's how do we experiment faster? Even before we start developing and coding and testing and those things, how do we get in front of our customers? How do we research who our customers are? Are the who's the right who's that we're targeting? Do they really want this product or service that we're thinking of building? How do we get that information quickly so that we build products that people actually are going to use? So yeah, that's awesome. So this product journey loop is a big part of our course, our Agile Product Mindset course, and we cover this in great detail. We're not going to do that here, of course. We're just going to sort of go with a high level. So what is product ownership? And this is where you interact with us, right? So put in your browser or your phone. This should appear on your browser window. How would you define product ownership? And for those of you who just joined, let me make sure you have a link. So you can always, let's see here, chat. For those of you to join later, just click on that link in the chat window. and you should be able to participate with the rest of the folks in this meeting. Click on that link and it should open up another browser window, and you will see that that question up on your screen. You can enter as many things as comes to mind. Now, what is product ownership? Creating a vision, being a value maximizer. Awesome. What else? Angel, if I'm not mistaken, were you in one of our classes in the past and from a few months ago? Are you the same Angel?
Good memory. Yes, yes, I was.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
So this should
I
all
still
be
utilize all of my notes. It was fantastic.
good. So you could teach this, or you could run this section.
Not quite. My position is still a little unorthodox, where I'm a product owner for multiple companies and all different platforms. So I'm still kind of struggling my way through. So
Yeah,
so different
yeah.
than anyone I encounter to be able to bounce my situation off of.
Got it. Got it. And in your situation, if I remember, yeah, you're sort of in between the main client or the main customer or whatever, and then other vendors, right? And so you're trying to prioritize with the work that they do in support of your employer, correct? And I might not have it completely right, but that's what I remember. And all these are great. Value enabler, improver through empiricism. What is, can you, whoever wrote that, I love that. Can you expand on it? Let's look.
Sure. I was the guilty one. Yes. Because it's trial and error. So empiricism comes through that. It's kind of constantly learning, but occasionally or sometimes often, depending on the case, we might get it wrong. So we need to get into the loop of that continuous trial and error and continuous improvement.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because and the fact that we might get it wrong can be a little it can induce some fear in people. It's like, oh my God, what if we get it wrong, right? But if we are, the bets that we make are small, then getting it wrong doesn't cost as much, right? It's a small bet that we're making. We're learning from that failure, and then we're making an adjustment and moving forward. Hey, Michael. Exactly. Thanks for joining. I put a link in the chat so you can participate in the Mentimeter session. So I'm glad you're here. So Michael Franz and I, we work together at one of our clients, and I'm sure you'll have lots to share in terms of what product ownership is.
Thanks. Sorry I'm late.
No worries.
And Kumar, the whole empiricism idea is what you mentioned earlier, right? I mean, how do we experiment and get something out to the user as fast as possible, so that we can test out that idea and either decide to pursue it even further, or just call it quits, right? Move on to the next best idea that might be the hit with the users and our customers.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, this is really good. Being accountable for knowing the product workflow and value, being accountable. So we actually we're doing a live segment tomorrow on one of the product owner personas, the know-it-all product owner. So if you have time, tune in for that. It should be fun. We're gonna try to make it as fun as possible. All right, so product ownership, it encompasses these types of things, right? Being an advocate for the business. Again, maximizing business impact, being an advocate for customers, maximizing customer outcomes or end users, subject matter expert, analyst, designer, visionary, communicator, decision maker. All these things are part of what a product owner needs to be involved with. Any of these resonate with you, or like makes you kind of think, scratch your head, like, why is that there?
It does so much because defining client is very specific here. It's not only the end user, it's whoever is the sponsor, which is the business advocate,
Yeah.
or different client representatives who can be customer advocates.
Yeah. This can be a hard thing to sort of pinpoint, who is the real customer for a product owner, and understanding the who, going back to the picture, the product journey loop, it's who is the customer, right? If you're a product owner for a product that is more internal than it is external, internally facing, then it's really need to know who those end users are. I think that's what you're getting at, right, Mario?
Correct.
Go ahead, James.
So as a product owner, I envision as a product owner more like a project manager in the responsibilities they have in capturing the data, everything that's needed. But in that list, it's where it says designer. How does that? I don't understand that bit, because although not being a project manager, my thoughts are the product owner. Why would his ownership be around the design of it? Because because surely that's like, to me, that's like saying, well, how in a Scrum team, how does the product owner, would he have a say in how the development team produce that? Because and that's where that's the thing. I'm not too.
Yeah,
raise that
thank
question.
you for bringing that up. We put some words in here that were deliberately, hopefully, would cause a reaction amongst all of you. Like, should the product owner design the solution? And that gets into the how, right? The product owner. If the product owner designs the solution, that's getting into the how. That's really the realm of the team to figure out how. I mean, it's okay, it's fine to be a visionary, but maybe they're not designing the solution. And so you're right, it's really the product ownership is about the why and the who, the why and the what, sorry. And the team figures out the how through collaboration, through communication, through really understanding what the vision is.
Yeah, there could be a slightly different interpretation to that, which is a designer for user experience. Is the product owner capable then?
Yeah, this is Dale. I was going to interject. There is an intersection when it comes to the what. There is a sense, an element of the experience of the what, when not necessarily how, but the what definitely has an outline or a framework of the how. You have to, business owner, it's up to them to really put in some good specific terminology that the team can understand in order to achieve in the design, right? Whether it's objectives, whether it's value statements, whether it's outcomes. There is a business, view owner that, in my view, this is just my view, that the product owner really has to bring to the table.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, that's the whole business impact, right? So what is it that we're trying to do, and how will it impact the business? And Jolly, you mentioned earlier loss leaders. I mean, how does that play into? Because not everything is going to have a positive impact, at least from a monetary perspective, right?
Right. Yeah, and many organizations have these projects or products, preferably products from our point of view, that necessarily doesn't make any money. And that is okay, because that might be helping another product make money, or another organization make money of services, but not necessarily make money out of the product itself, right? It might be that product might be used for another part of the same company to run some services business. So the question always is for the product owners, not just at that individual product level, whether the business impact is a net positive, but from an organizational point of view, does it make sense for us to work on this for a longer period of time? And at some point, it just becomes too much of a loss leading, and then we cut it off. But how far can you go?
Anaga, you have a question?
Well, as I'm hearing this discussion, what is coming up is like what pain point the product will help with, whether it is within company or the customer. And I think looking at it that way as a business or product owner, that where it is going to help. What is the purpose? What pain point I'm going to help resolve in the system, or at least reduce the pain and make it efficient.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great way to look at it. Okay, what problem am I solving? What pain am I removing for the customer's gain or the business gain, or both, right? Ideally both.
Right.
And I think I think I get what you were also saying, Dale, that the what is kind of a loose thing. It's like, it's not just for the product owner just to define the why and the what and leave all of the how to the team. They may need to advise and guide. And I think that's where you were getting at, right? Right, Dale?
Yes, yeah. There's an intersection where
There is. Yeah.
product owner cannot just walk away. There are some elements of that design that have to then become acceptable, usable, achievable value add to what they're trying to do.
That's right. Yeah, absolutely. Let's move on to the next slide.
So
was there another question?
Yeah, so that would be therefore directed from the business side rather than a client side to say what is the overall, because the product owner in this case could be looking at what can we maximize as a company, what tools, etc., can we maximize the company, and then that might take the design that way. Would I be right in saying that?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's
right. Okay.
I think it's important to make the distinction between, I don't know if it's a distinction necessarily, a hard distinction, but between business impact, customer outcome. And in some cases, you might create a product or service that has no monetary business impact. It may even be negative. You might lose money on that product or service. However, it's driving some other goal or some other need, some other outcome, some other outcome. So an example that we use a lot is the Costco rotisserie chicken. That is a loss. I don't know if you have Costco in the UK. Do you?
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
You do? Okay.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you have the rotisserie chicken in the UK. Well, here in the US, they have this huge bird. I don't even know. It must be a genetically engineered chicken. But anyway, it's huge thing. And it's roasted. It's delicious. It's probably not that good for you. But anyway, it's only $5, $5 US. It's been $5 for the last, 20 years or something?
Right.
And they are still selling it for $5. They've vowed not to raise the price of that chicken, of that product, because it brings people in the store, the smell of the chicken, like, oh, let me go buy the chicken, right? And of course, when they're in the store, they're buying other things. And so it's raising the revenue in other areas, other product lines, while the chicken itself is not a profit center.
I get it. Sure.
It's also strategically placed to where people have to pass by big ticket items to get to it.
That's right. Yeah, it's smart. I mean, other grocery store chains have started mimicking that, right? Making their own, rotisserie chicken and strategically placing it in a, next to higher ticket items or enticing people to buy something else. Absolutely. All right. Here's a question for you. Does a product owner need to be a subject matter expert? Why or why not? And this is again, you can if you're not in Menti, I'm going to put the link again so you get there and respond with your response.
Once again, what is SME in this context?
A subject matter expert. So they need to know everything about the product, you know, ad nauseum. Yes, but not a technical SME, a value SME. Yeah, I like that. I don't know who wrote that, but I that's a good one. Not necessarily and no, an emphatic no. Why is that? Whoever put that in there?
Because it depends on the size of the team. There could be other analysts involved, right? I don't want to presuppose I know the makeup, the architecture of the team of the organization. There's a variety of approaches that are used, even in Agile. There can be experts brought in by the PO in individual function experts or functional business operational leaders, marketing expertise. The PO doesn't have to be expert in all things, is my emphasis. They do need to know how to organize, orchestrate, influence, drive, lead. They do not need to know everything about everything. That's my emphatic no.
Yeah, absolutely. Love that. And another nuanced, but really well articulated response. The PO needs to know what the impact is for the customer and how the needs of the customer are met by product features. Yep, good stuff. It can help, but they can add value before they are product process expert. Yeah, okay. Can you explain? Can you tell us more about this? I'm not sure I understand this one fully.
Well, I think over time, a product owner ends up becoming a subject matter expert, right, on their product, especially if they stay long enough, right? So
yeah,
they're going to understand their customer needs. It's a conglomeration of all the things above. I would say, do they have to be a SME? No, they can add value before they're a SME. Hopefully, in their journey, they're going to become that voice of the customer. They're going to also understand the process of flowing value, right, from delivery to the customer, and all of those things: customer relations, strong communicator, facilitator, being able to tease out all of those things. You could argue that, you know, depends on your definition of SME, right? Subject matter expert means what subject? Understanding product and, you know, maybe divergent, convergent thinking, design thinking. Then maybe we're starting to get into some of the discipline of the product owner. Is that me? So yeah.
Yes, I'm with you. I'm totally with you. I think where the danger is when product owners, you know, the more they know, the more they might sort of cross the line that, you know, it's not really a solid line. It's sort of this this line into influencing, or even to the extent telling the team what to build, or and how to build it. Hey, no, we don't want this. We want something else. I mean, there's a way to do that through acceptance criteria and things like that to be able to influence the direction of the product, but it can be a sort of a line that some product owners may cross. All right, let's go to the next question. I think there's another question here. No question. Another slide. So key aspects. Who wants to explain, or how would you understand this first statement? How would you articulate your understanding of the first statement? Bridge, not a ferry.
There's the ferry, to me, it's like you're waiting for the ferry, and then it goes to the other side, and then you're waiting again to get another ferry and goes back again. And this way, you want it to be as quickly as possible. So you want this flow to be quicker.
Yeah. So product owner acts as sort of the conduit, connecting the team with the right people to get the information. They're enabling the team to do their work, to figure out how to do their work without being the bottleneck in the middle, right? The ferry in the middle. Perfect. Anything here resonate or either positively or negatively?
I think spot on explanation by James.
All right.
The waiting,
Awesome.
isn't it?
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to go to some questions based on this this slide here. So what does it mean to hold the now view and the long view for the team? How does it impact the team? Yeah, I love that. OKRs. What are OKRs in case anyone here in this room does not know?
That's a very good question. There are different methods, but the one I like is basically defining value by measuring it.
Yeah.
And one way of doing is to define what we need to increase or decrease and what aspect of improvement does the product need. That's a very subjective part of it. Do we need to improve usability, and what is the usability and how do we measure it? Is it reliability, availability, or what aspect of user experience, for example? And then we start measuring the now, where we are and where we want to be. The other subjective bit is, should it be quarterly, annually, monthly, or
Yeah.
when do we need to get it?
Yeah.
It depends.
Yeah, that's great. All of your descriptions are very valid, right? So, thinking about this from a product owner perspective, they need to really be able to be master communicators and inspire the team to stay focused on the tactical, on the now, and also be able to inspire them about what's coming. Inform them about what's coming in the future, market trends, where's this product or products that the team is working on, where's it going, what kind of impact is it having, what kind of impact is it making. Again, remember I said in the top of the hour, product owners should really imbue the team with the same mindset that they have, right? So that the team becomes an extension of themselves. They're thinking about the customer. They're thinking about the impacts and the outcomes. And so this is one of the ways that product owner can do that. Anything you'd like to add, Jolly, or anyone on the call?
Yeah, just a final thought about this is that in my previous experience, I've been researching about how to measure value, because that's the $1 million question. Because very often teams, and particularly product owners, they think about features, functionality, which is work, and agility, all the agile methods, Scrum, Kanban, all of them. They talk about how to make work agile. But how do we know that whatever we are producing is actually valuable? The non-promoter scores are lagging indicators because they tell you what you have already released. But how do we know what we need to do in the future?
Right.
Based on improvements.
Right. And I think that goes back to what Jolly was saying earlier, that you have to try to make your experiments as small as possible. Your next releases as I don't know if, I guess, small as you can make them, so that you can get feedback faster. If the time lag between your releases are measured in months, then your feedback cycle is maybe 6 months. If it's in every quarter you do a release, then you can't really measure the impact of that release maybe for several months after that, because you're collecting all the data. But if you can make it shorter and smaller, then you can get feedback quicker. In our course, actually, we talk about leading and lagging indicators quite a bit. And we talk about how you create them and how you create leading indicators, so that for every mini release that you put out there, you can start measuring trends that will indicate, hey, are we going to make our lagging indicator? Is it trending in the right direction? And it's an art. It's not a science. You know, the product owner and the product team has to experiment with these things to really think about how they might be able to capture leading indicators that will provide them some signs that, hey, what they're doing is on track. They're doing the right things. You know, back many years ago, I used to work for a company, Carfax, and they were they've been Agile for a long time. Back in 2002, I think they started using XP, and their product managers would every quarter they would put out a set of goals for the team, and they would say, okay, we want to increase our our year over year, whatever, sales, kind of like the way you were describing it, Mario. We want to increase it by 5%. We want to reduce our churn by X%, on some very specific part of the business. And the team would go figure out how to do that. In fact, they would instrument this is a website, obviously. They would instrument the website to see if they're getting more visits, if the churn rates were going down, and all that stuff. And they would just keep experimenting and put releases out every week, every few days, whatever, to see the trend in the numbers. They were a pretty mature, group there, a very mature product group, a very mature set of teams. But that's kind of where we want to go. We want to get teams really thinking about these things. Thanks, Michael. Art of business value. Yeah, good stuff. Oh, Mark Schwartz. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, that's one of
Mark
my
Schwartz.
There's a few out there. He did Seat at the Table.
Yeah.
Under him, but that one, that one comes up a lot. I usually hand that to executives and directors and managers when they're like, well, how do we measure business value? I said, well, let's start with this thinking. That's the first book I hand out.
So Mark Schwartz, I knew him when he was at U.S. Postal Service. He ran there. He was the CTO there at U.S. Postal Service.
At DHS.
DHS, that's right. Sorry, not Postal Service, DHS. And he changed the culture. This is a government organization, Department of Homeland Security, government organization. He was able to change that culture where they were releasing, a handful of times a year to hundreds of times a month, right? Again, going to short little releases, getting feedback. He didn't do it alone, but it was his vision, his guidance that got them there. All right, next question. How does this play out? What do behaviors manifest being the value conscience for the team? What have you seen, or what would you like to see in a product owner? Yep. Yeah, if the team commits to something, just sort of stay focused on that commitment, get that done. Pauses the team when they start to slide off goal plate. Yeah, absolutely. Restates the objective, mission, and value focus. Absolutely, right? Yeah, I can't really overstate the value of having a sprint goal. Every sprint, every iteration. It helps focus the team on the larger goal for that sprint, for the quarter. Obviously, you can keep going up, right? Always aligning with the customer. What is the real value, right? And aligning with the team as well, right? Making sure you share that real value so the team understands it, lives it, starts to think outside the box. Yeah, I like this. But with humility, learns with feedback, NPS. Now, I don't know who wrote this. Can you say a little bit more about that?
It's a very tough balance for the product owners, because on one side, they need to have a lot of empowerment. So they represent all the client, the sponsors, the user, the final
Yeah.
users, the client stakeholders. So they need to have a lot of empowerment to make decisions, which is really tough. To have all that empowerment can sometimes make the person arrogant.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And it's got to be done that way, because it's the personal struggle against all the other stakeholders to make it happen that way, and with the team to make it happen that way. However, the million-dollar question is not his opinion. It's the final user's opinion.
Yeah.
Will they listen? It's a very tough.
That's a great point. Yeah, and I'm sure a lot of POs struggle with this from time to time, but this is a really good point. You know, learn from the feedback that they're getting, not only from the customer NPS, but maybe even the team. You know, learn from retrospectives. How's a team, the relationship between the product owner and the team doing the work, and learning from it, listening to the team. You know, being a great facilitator. You know, James just came out of a facilitation class last week, and you know, I think facilitation for product owners is a hugely underrated skill. Being able to facilitate and articulate the vision, and being able to get folks to buy into it. That's a facilitation skill, not a directive skill, or if it can come across that way. But that's the balance that I think you're talking about, Mario.
Absolutely. I would like to add a little bit about the listening from the team.
Yeah.
I cannot mention the name of the bank, but I was in one particular bank in the UK, and I met the most amazing product owner. And he was so good that the whole team would follow her. Unfortunately, she created a mess, because for pushing so much value, there was a lot of technical debt accumulated from non-fixed bugs, environments, architectural problems. So at some point in time, those things are just as important as delivering value.
Yeah.
And the ability of this person not to listen to the voice of the team created a mess in the long run, because the thing became unreliable, the thing became lots of problems with the architecture. So the team was taking longer and longer to build just a tiny thing.
Yeah.
So we have to start from the beginning to create completely. That's when the OKRs became the solution, because then we knew what to improve based on quantifying these things.
Right. Well, it goes into the whole value proposition. You know, what is valuable for the customer? And part of that should include non-functional requirements. You know, how reliable is it? You know, how responsive is the if it's a web application, how responsive is it? How, if I'm a user and it's a banking application, I want to be able to use it any time of the day or night, right? Is it available? How available it is? And so those things should get baked in. As a product owner, should be thinking about those things. And to your point, listening to the team when things start to slide into uncharted territory where you have a lot of technical debt that you've built up.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to skip that one. You know, it talked a lot about these things already, you know, the thinking skills, the behaviors, critical thinking, systems thinking. You know, we talked about this in a roundabout way. What does it mean? Can someone articulate what this means from a product owner perspective, being a systems thinker?
Would it be doing it the way the company does it, the way the company works as a system? So, you know,
In a way, I think I think you're on the right track. Who would like to add?
Is it like understanding your product so that when you're optimizing your product, you understand you're sub-optimizing somewhere else and you can see end to end around your product and what the product touches and maybe even take it to the ecosystem thinking?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. It's whatever you optimize on your product experience, your product space may sub-optimize some other part of the system in the company, in the organization that you're working with as a product owner. So applying a systems thinking mindset to not that you, it's just an awareness that you build, right? So from a product owner perspective, knowing that, hey, the impacts that this product has on other products in the system, and to be aware of that. What else stands out to you on this list?
On system thinking, usually technical people are the worst at thinking system-wise, because systems is a word in Latin, systema. Systems is a Latin word that is being misused so much and often means a little box, when in reality it means the Greek word holos, which is holistic.
Okay.
So I like the word holistic better, because it usually takes the people to the to think the right thing, which is, someone said, the end-to-end vision of things.
Yeah.
And how one thing impacts to everything else.
Yeah.
If they have that thinking, the holistic or system thinking, then they probably will get it right.
I think that's a good distinction to make, holistic thinking. I think what Michael was referring to maybe as ecosystem thinking, it's thinking about the system within a system, right? A product lives in an ecosystem of other products, and a company lives in an ecosystem of markets and market segments and competitors and partners and vendors and all that stuff. And, you know, as a product owner, you don't have to know everything, but you have to think more holistically about the product and the space that it's operating in. Absolutely. Anything else show up for you when you read this list of thinking or behavioral skills? All right, I'm going to move on. Anything missing from that slide in terms of behaviors or skills? In the interest of time, I'm going to skip this because I want to get to some other, this slide here, which is, I think, pretty important. This guy, Matt Watkinson, wrote this book, The 10 Principles Behind Great Customer Experiences. And of course, this is thinking from a customer perspective, right? So the left side of the loop, right? As you start to think about why you're building something and who you're building it for and what outcomes or impacts you're trying to generate for the customer. These are things to really think about, you know, from a customer's perspective. It should satisfy, it should strongly reflect the customer's identity. So you're trying to build community with that customer, the products and services you provide. It should satisfy their higher objectives. What about this one? Leave nothing to chance. How can, as a product owner, how can you do that? How can you leave nothing to chance? That seems pretty tall order.
I mean, in reality, it's impossible, but in principle, we need to make sure, we need to be prepared to plan. You know, one of the things that Agile sometimes misses, that is in traditional project management, and because I've been in project management before and then going to Agile, is risk planning and risk mitigation. And it is possible to do both.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it is possible. The product owner should be the risk manager. Because delivering value is a risk. Because the ability of not to deliver value, which is the negative of value, is the risk in itself.
That's a really good way to put it. Yeah.
So if they can translate value into the negative, which is risk, and how they are not achieving value, which is another way of looking at risk, then they should be able to achieve the ability to leave nothing to chance in principle, even though it's impossible.
Sure. I mean, there's always going to be things that you don't think about, no matter how holistic a thinker you are and how well you think you know the market. There's always going to be something that surprises you, but that's what you react to. That's what you get feedback from the customer, feedback from the team, and you make adjustments along the way. But I love the way you put it, product owner as a risk manager. What do the rest of you think of that? That's a great, I love
like
that.
it. But I like it, and I think it just implies the business operational ownership, right? Because that really all does managing risk transference, risk control. I mean, that really is what a product owner is really, or product is about.
Yeah, I agree. We might have to add that to our course, Jolly. Thinking about the product owner as a risk manager as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Would he also be transparent with the team about risk?
Right. That's right. Yeah, I mean, really getting the team to think that way as well. You know, hey, it's a risk if we don't do this. You know, the value will not be maximized unless we take care of this, whatever this is, and really imbuing that same sense of risk management with the team, right? All right, so, you know, thinking about the products that you support, it's really also an awareness of where your product is on the product lifecycle, right? And if your product is somewhere in the beginning, then you may approach product ownership a little differently than you would later on in the lifecycle. The risks are different, right? The whole risk profile is different. In the beginning, the risk is high that it won't be successful. And so what you're trying to do is learn more about the product space, the customers, and de-risk the expense of developing this product, you know, because you have a more certain outcome as much as you can. And so the things that you do in the beginning of a product lifecycle will be different than here. When the product is due to sort of expire, the life cycle is it's on its last legs, and you should be thinking about what's the next product that you should be thinking about the next product somewhere when your current product reaches maturity. So you have another cycle starting that replaces your product that it's inevitably going to become stale, right? So again, your approach is going to be different. All right, we're almost out of time, so we're going to skip that. Any questions from you guys? You don't have to put it in the Menti. You can just ask. In fact, I'll go to my last slide here. Any questions from anyone or any comments about the session?
I'm finding this really interesting about, you know, how you just started with the product owner responsibility or ownership, you know, when we talk about ownership and where we've delved into. Yeah, so I'll be seeing you tomorrow in the product owners class, and I just think I want to be an agile coach, and I think it's really important for me to know that not to be judging product owners, etc., or anything like that, but to know and maybe advise or work with, knowing what the product owners should be doing, and yeah, for me to appreciate what they're going through and etc. So yeah, this is great. Really good.
Thank you. Anaga, any thoughts to share?
Yeah, so great session as usual. Every time I come in, I learn something new and very valuable. And I really appreciate you putting these together. For me, what I found most interesting is connection between product owner, team who might be having a fear that something might go wrong, and high performing team and how they come together or don't.
Mm-hmm.
Because for high performing teams, if the team is members are fearful that something will go wrong, they will not be able to perform to their highest potential.
Yeah.
And as a product owner, how to help team to not feel that way and manage those aspects.
Yeah.
This really helping me to tie up my presentation about creating safe space. So that's where it connected for me.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So in about 2 weeks, Anaga is going to be presenting the next Coaches Corner. So looking forward to that. I'll post this deck to the community. If you're not already a member of the community, please join. So you'll be able to see the deck, the presentation. You'll be able to engage with all these wonderful members in our community. And again, there's no cost. It's completely free. So hope to see you tomorrow. Actually, we're going to do a little skit on behaviors that we don't want product owners to exhibit. So hopefully you'll join us for that. All right. If there are any other comments, still here waiting.
Looking forward to it. We all learn from each other, and this is the best example.
Thank you so much. Appreciate your time.
No, thank you.
All right, everyone.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you
Take
very
care.
much.
Bye-bye.
Thank
Bye,
you.
Kumar. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.